Hello, I'm James Izimoha. Welcome to Africa News. Let's see your headlines. President Bola Tinubu says the worst is over as Nigeria marks its 65th Independence Day amid economic hardship. Former Congolese President Joseph Kabila sentenced to death by military court. Ugandan health worker recognized by Bill Gates for life-saving work in hard-to-reach communities. President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria is emerging from a period of economic hardship following controversial reforms that sparked public anger. He made the comments during a national address on the country's 65th Independence Day on Wednesday. President Tinubu defended reforms that removed fuel subsidies and unified the foreign exchange rate, moves that triggered inflation but were deemed necessary to reset the economy.
The seeds of those difficult but necessary decisions are bearing fruits. In resetting our country for sustainable growth, we ended the corrupt fuel subsidy and multiple foreign exchange rates that created massive incentive for a rentier economy, benefiting only a tiny minority. We are racing against time. We must build the road we need, repair the ones that have become descriptive, and construct the schools our children will attend, and the hospitals that will care for our people. We have to plan for the generations that will come after us.
Former Congolese President Joseph Kabila has been sentenced to death by military court. Judges found him guilty of supporting Rwanda-backed rebels, though critics say the case reflects political divisions in the country.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's former president, Joseph Kabila, was sentenced to death in absentia on Tuesday by a military court. He was convicted of war crimes, treason, and crimes against humanity, and also ordered to pay around $50 billion in various damages to the state and victims. The case stems from his alleged role in supporting the advance of Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in Congo's volatile east. Rwanda, which has long denied helping M23, says its forces act in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militiamen linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Kabila, who led Congo from 2001 to 2019, has denied wrongdoing and says the judiciary has been politicized. He was not present for the trial and was also unrepresented by legal counsel. Neither he nor his representatives were immediately available for comment, and his current whereabouts are not known. Lawyer Richard Bondo hailed the result as a victory for the country.
We are satisfied because justice has been served. So, the justice rendered in the name of the Congolese people gives satisfaction to these people. Given that the defendant, Kabila, mastermind of all rebel movements, all insurgents, and all Rwandan aggression, he, as the mastermind, has just been sentenced to capital punishment.
Some residents of Congo's rebel-occupied eastern city of Bukavu did not share that sentiment. This resident pointed out that the trial had cost the public millions and questioned whether Kabila's conviction would truly bring an end to the conflict in eastern parts of the country. The verdict could fuel further divisions in the vast mineral-rich Central African nation, which has endured decades of conflict. M23 rebels now control much of North Kivu and South Kivu provinces. The fighting has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year. The two sides signed the US-brokered peace agreement in June, but sources say they are both reinforcing their positions and blaming one another for flouting the accord.
Namibia's top tourist attraction, Etosha National Park, which covers nearly 8,000 square miles, has been hit by a major wildfire. Government officials warn of potential long-term effects on Namibia's tourism industry, but emphasize that park is still welcoming visitors.
A week-long wildfire inside Namibia's largest game reserve is expected to impact the country's tourism industry over the next 3 years, according to a government official. Etosha National Park is one of the top tourist attractions in the southern African country. Official estimates show the fire damaged 38% of the nearly 8,000 square mile park, but unofficial assessments suggest the damage may be worse. An unknown number of animals had been killed.
Insofar as the impact is concerned, it's still early days.
Sikongo Haihumbo from Namibia's Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism says they are continuing to assess the impact. However, he says the park is still open for business.
Because the fires have died out effectively inside the park. And therefore, it is safe for one to go back to the park or to go to the park. And then management will be in a position to guide our visitors.
Namibia's tourism sector had only just recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. Hotel occupancy reached above 60% in August, the highest since 2019, a recent financial services report showed. The tourism sector contributed 6.9% to Namibia's gross domestic product in 2022.
In eastern Uganda, a nurse's daily climbs up steep mountains have made her a lifeline for isolated families in remote communities. Agnes Nambozo's commitment has now won recognition from philanthropist Bill Gates.
Nurse Agnes Nambozo has spent over a decade scaling treacherous terrain in Bulambuli district to deliver vaccines and medical care to remote communities. With clinics out of reach, her work ensures children are immunised and families access services they would otherwise miss. The Ugandan nurse was honoured by philanthropist Bill Gates in his Gates Notes, where he says Uganda has done an amazing job of reducing childhood mortality over the last 25 years. The health worker says her love for the job and commitment to her patients keep her climbing despite the risks.
What inspires me every day to come and immunize is because I work as an EPI focal person too. I love my job. 3, it's because I've found out that most, especially the ladies, for the gents they can come, but for the ladies they fear climbing the ladders. But for me, I don't feel anything bad like climbing the ladders. I make sure I come and like I've taken it is just as my routine. Yeah, I don't have any issue climbing up here, but I also feel these people, they need our services like any other people need. That's why I always come and give them a service.
Residents say her visits have transformed access to vaccines for their children.
Before she came, we used to walk down there up to Zema. Sometimes we didn't finish even immunization of our children because the journey is so long. As she comes, she has helped us so much climbing this area, and we are now finishing immunizing our children.
Despite poor roads and harsh weather, Nambozo continues her mission while studying for a nursing degree. Her work underscores how dedicated health workers can bridge gaps in healthcare for Uganda's most remote communities.
2 years of civil war in Sudan has left deep scars on the country's cultural heritage. Thousands of artifacts are missing, and experts say museums and archaeological treasures in Khartoum have suffered extensive damage and looting.
Shattered remains of ancient statues and pottery lie among bullet casings at Sudan's National Museum. 2 years of a civil war has killed tens of thousands and displaced millions. In spring, Sudan's army expelled the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces from Khartoum. But much of the city lies in ruins, including many of its cultural treasures. Some antiquities were damaged in fighting, many were carted off by looters. Rehab Kader al-Rashid is head of a committee set up to evaluate damage and secure museums and archaeological sites in Khartoum state.
The museum was extremely damaged. A lot of artifacts that are very, very important to us were stolen. Each piece in the museum has a story. All the pieces are important. What was stolen was extremely important for us as archaeologists. We have a number of pieces that were stolen from storage rooms and the main storeroom.
Sudan's antiquities body has counted about 4,000 pieces missing nationwide. Many appear to have been smuggled into neighbouring countries, an activity that's become rife during political upheaval. Among the treasures found at the National Museum are multiple temples, moved from the north in the 1960s to protect them from flooding. One of the most spectacular is the Buhen Temple, built by the Egyptian Queen Hatshepsut, who reigned around 1500 BC. Rashid said it sustained damage during the fighting, which authorities are working to restore, albeit with, quote, very limited resources.
We used to have nearly 45 archaeological missions working in the archaeological field in Sudan before the war. After the war, unfortunately, there are no archaeological missions working in Sudan. All the missions stopped because of the war. We hope, God willing, the missions will come back and continue their work in Sudan.
Sudan's antiquities body estimated the cost of restoring Sudan's museums and recovering the remaining treasures could be as high as $100 million.
A Nigerian staple may someday reach space kitchens. Egusi seeds, the base for a beloved West African soup, have orbited the Earth as part of a global project testing food crops for long-term space missions.
Egusi seeds from Nigeria spent 7 days aboard the International Space Station in August, part of experiments studying how plants adapt to microgravity. Scientists say adapting diverse crops could ensure astronauts have nutritious, culturally relevant foods on future missions to the Moon or Mars. Nigerian entrepreneur Temidayo Onyosun says the aim is to make African foods part of humanity's space future.
The goal is that, in the next couple of decades, when people are living on the Moon or on the Mars, and they're looking at growing food and all of that, food that are native to Africa would be part of that. So even in 50 years' time, Africans are living on the Moon. We want them to be growing and planting egusi and be eating.
Researchers at the University of Florida say the collaboration brings African seeds into space science for the first time.
This is the first time we're experimenting with seeds from Africa. Actually, when we met the representative from Nigeria at the Kennedy Space Center, we kind of, we had a good connection, and we established that we could collaborate on those studies. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to use our technology to help them in Nigeria to see, do some experiments with their own seeds.
Researchers will now study the returned seeds for genetic and stress adaptation changes. Results are expected within 3 months, potentially advancing both space farming and resilience of food crops back on Earth.
In Mali, designers presented traditional African fabrics with contemporary twists. The showcase brought together creators from across the continent, underlining both the cultural significance and commercial promise of Africa's textile industry.
Bamako's African Textile Night opened with a dazzling display of color, texture, and heritage. For 7 days, designers paid tribute to the continent's fabrics.
We transform Bogolan fabric into a variety of items, including the large bubus worn by Mali's first president, Modibo Keita, as well as shirts, suits, trousers, bags, shoes, and scarves. We create traditional items and adapt them to meet the needs of a new generation.
We produce many items made from African textiles such as embroidery and African wax prints. We also make clothing from Malian Bogolan. As designers, we must be capable of creating many things. We design clothing for both men and women.
The event also provided a platform for models of various origins to present the creations of young African designers.
I'm very happy with the outfit I'm wearing. I'm also very proud to promote the expertise and excellence of the African fashion industry. I believe that wearing traditional clothing is a great way to promote our culture and identity.
Beyond the catwalk, African countries are increasingly investing in transforming their fabrics, creating value locally, and revolutionizing their fashion industries.
Textiles play a key role in promoting our culture, as they are part of our heritage that we must be proud to protect. The sector also creates jobs, thereby reducing poverty. We must not forget its significant economic impact on the region.
For a week, the African Textile Village welcomed thousands of visitors from nearly 20 countries. The message of Bamako's Textile Night was clear. African fabrics are not just raw materials, they're resources of identity, pride, and economic power.
Well, that's all we have today in African News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.